So as clearly mentioned, now these days we are always talking about this quality accreditations and publishing in because 20 years back we just discussed about something on publishing a reputed journal, but now it has changed into publish in a reputed and index journals. So once you go through certain journal articles and all, certain research, so you may think like, okay, this journal looks fine for me. But once you dig down and see, then there can be a different interpretation of some journals. So we will discuss about that. And also, 25, 30 years back, there is no any, online servers. There is no any database. So what we need to do, we need to write to the author expecting something from the postal mail. But now the technology has changed. So there are certain databases. So it's very easy for us to get the articles. But unfortunately, even though we are talking about the technology enhancement and all, on the other side, so we can see something called the predatory journals. And also we can witness certain people use this publication, journal publication, as a business. So what we need to do as academics, we have to be very concerned about that. We have to be very conscious about journals, publications, even conferences. Now, Open University of Sri Lanka, our faculty, we have new faculty next year. 31st of March, we are going to have our first international conference. So Professor Philip Kotler, he accepted our invitation. So now we are striving hard to get the scopus, because most of the foreign scholars, so they are very much concerned about indexing conferences. Not only indexing publications, indexing conferences. So it means technically in coming years, we need to be very conscious about the quality and how we are going to publish in a quality journal and all. And even sometimes, I know because of this so-called research allowance, usually the academics, they always want to have a publication like instant noodles. So if you are going for a publication like that, then again you are in trouble, because in order to publish in a quality journal, so you should have a kind of a time duration, at least 6 months to maybe 1 year. The level of tolerance should be very higher. Right? You may get first journal article you send, and then they say, sorry, your journal article been rejected from the desk research. So it don't go even for the reviewers. Sometimes they will accept with major changes, drastic changes with your data analysis, even with your model and all. But you need to have tolerance level. Once you striving hard, the outcome, you will get more satisfaction. That we call as happiness. That's why in the world, people are not talking about gross domestic product. Now people start to discuss something called gross domestic happiness, GDN. So to get that so-called happiness, so we need to have a good tolerance for the publications. So that is something it's really important for us to understand. And in my, like we have around 46 minutes time, so I'm going to brief you. Specifically, what sort of best practices we need to inculcate, and what are the things we need to avoid, especially in publications that we will discuss. So let me share my PowerPoint presentation. So in this scenario, I'm taking a small character. A small avatar. Lecturer attached to Kotharaga Defense University. Right? now Dhammika is a temporary or maybe a probationary lecturer in KDU, a new lecturer looking for publications, looking for some publications. He want to publish certain things. And also Dhammika want to contribute something to the society because Dhammika know he is coming from free education. So you need to repay something you gain from the Dr. C.W.W. Kannanga. Socialization of knowledge is one of the very important thing for the, whatever the academic in Sri Lanka, right? Because we ourselves can be considered as the outcome of free education, K-12 education and university education, most of us. So now Dhammika is looking for publications. Number one, assume, we can have certain assumptions here. So in economics, we're talking about something called ceteris paribus. Certain things should be constant, right? So likewise, now what I am going to do, like I have to search certain words. Now Dhammika searches certain words. So in marketing field, now Dhammika is going to put something on Google Scholar. Before Google Scholar, he's put something on Google. Selama, Google. 25-30 years back, we used to have Yahoo. Now, anyway, we are using Google as one of the best search engine. So Dhammika start to search something from Google. Right? Searching something from Google fundamentally is correct. Yes, we need to search. If you want to get something, yes, you have to search from Google and get something. Then again, Dhammika just type something called relationship marketing. Like this, right? Dhammika type relationship marketing on Google. So he is getting results within less than 1 second. He is getting a results. It's more than Colombo Mayor, right? Rosie, right? So this is 1256, like zeros. So you want to search something on relationship marketing. Then he is getting less than 1 second because of these algorithms and on from Google. He is getting, say, like millions of results. But there's a problem. What is a problem? Number one, best practice. You should type, if you want to search something on relationship marketing, you need to type relationship marketing within, yes, inverted commas. Then you can reduce this into 7,90,000. So first lesson, we need to learn how we are going to use these inverted commas. Maybe you are going to Emerald. We are going for Emerald Advanced Search. You need to have this inverted commas, specifically if you are talking about certain concepts. That is really important. But again, our friend Dhammika Liyanarachi, once he practice this for say like 2-3 weeks time, so he start to work with something called Google Scholar because he wants to get some journal articles. If you want to search a person like maybe Ranil Wickramasinghe or something about COVID-19, merely you can just type Google and search. But if you want to get scholarly nature of the article, so Dhammika is always preferred to go for Google Scholar. Accepted. Then this can be considered as one of the very important steps. Our friend Dhammika start with Google to search certain things. Then again, now we know If you just put relationship marketing, it won't work. You have to put relationship marketing within inverted commas. But to search journal articles, he's using something called Google Scholar. So here you can see the difference. If you type relationship marketing on Google Scholar, you get only 269,000 within 0.10 seconds. But relationship marketing just on Google, you will get like 7,90,000. This you need to understand, right? So this is something where you have to be very concerned. This should be not 7,90,000, should be 7 million, I think, and 90,000. So as scholar, we need to be very concerned about keywords. So keywords, I think the data analytics, especially in SEO or search engine optimization, we learned keywords, right? Keywords, how we are going to put the keywords. So these things we considered as fundamental. But anyway, once you becoming a matured researcher, there's a problem of Google Scholar. So what is the problem of Google Scholar? Google Scholar is not a good indicator of quality research. Why is that? Usually, we ask students, don't go to Google. You have to go to Google Scholar. That's correct. That is not a problem. But unfortunately, in Google Scholar, there's a problem of getting a quality research. So I'm not telling all 100% we are getting from Google Scholar is not put in quality. No, it's not like that. Maybe 30 to 40% we will get the quality outcome, but remaining part is really questionable. So why? Because in research, whatever the time you need to ask a question called why question. So that we discuss under research philosophy also. Why Google Scholar we considered as ineffective method for a quality researcher. Ineffective method for quality researcher. This is another good example. Some journals where you send the article today for the publication, then after maybe 2-3 days time, they will send this sort of a message. Hello author, greeting of the day. I don't like to put the paper ID and paper title. Congratulations. We are happy to inform that your research paper has been accepted for publishing. So how the paper being accepted within 3 days time? There is a question mark. So now this has become an industry, people earning money. There's a problem of publishing in a quality journal because I'm serving as a editor-in-chief for Sri Lanka Journal of Management Studies. So last 2 years, so we have our biannual journal. So extensively, we are very concerned about this peer review process. So you can see, author submit the article. Then as a chief editor, I assess the article first. If I feel article is not aligned with the scope of the journal, I reject. Number one. Or else, if I feel this is somewhat acceptable, then I send the article to 2 blind reviewers. Usually I give 3 months. But some journals, they give more than 3 months. I'm serving as a reviewer for many emerald journals. So where usually we get 1 month. So we send to the reviewers. Then they will send. So reviewers, we have 3 options, I think you know. Either they will reject or they will accept with minor major changes. then production, publication. That's a huge process. If it is a quality journal, at least it will say take 6 months time for the peer review process. Unfortunately, journals such as this, maybe within 1 week time you can get your paper published. The problem we have, this has been, like visible in Google Scholar. Assume you advise your student to get something from Google Scholar. The student get certain articles from this sort of a journal. Then the conceptual model and all, not only the student, you also in trouble. Because I know some journals, unfortunately, so their conceptualization, operationalization, even the, like analysis methods, there is no research problem, no any A to Z Harvard referencing, but it has published and also in Google Scholar, it's visible. So that's why we are always advising you. You need to be very concerned about this sort of a bad practices that we need to understand. Then again, I would like to ask this question called why question. So why they are having this? Because this is all about easy money making, right? But unfortunately, we need to understand most of the time we don't recognize this sort of a journals. I know there's one journal called Journals of Marketing Management. So that is not Journal of Marketing Management. Journal of Marketing Management published by AME, American Marketing Association. This is Journals of Marketing Management. So most of the people, they don't know. But now, fortunately, there is one particular method which you can follow. So here we use a different jargon called predatory journals. Students letter, we need to teach. So publication that actively ask researchers for manuscript. Unfortunately, they don't have peer review system, no true editorial board, often found publish mediocre, even worthless papers. And also they ask huge publication charges. So these are the characteristics of a predatory journal. No peer review system, no true editorial board, often found they publish worthless, so mediocre papers. And also, fourthly, they're asking for huge publication charges. So these are the characteristics for the predatory journals. So we need to be very concerned about that. Now, I think a new marking scheme in professorship evaluations. So there is special indicator being mentioned to go through that. Different, like predatory journals are there. So as assessors, so I am serving as assessor also for some professorial, like post and all. So we need to be very concerned about this sort of a. Unfortunately, there are certain academics, they don't know anything about this. So they already got victimized. But now, fortunately, we have now our friend Manjula Lienaraj. Now he start to think, how I can find this? There should be a way to find this now. Fortunately, now we have something called Bellies list. I think better for you to read something on Jeffrey Bale. University of Colorado is a librarian. Right? Pathology in publishing. Predatory journals. So he has published many related to this particular predatory journals. And more importantly, now he got something called the bellies list. Megari lazy. Right? So you also can go to bellies list and you can just type and see whether whatever journal you are going to publish or whatever the publishers who are going to have collaboration comes under this predatory list. I am not telling like bellies list is perfect. I am not telling like this is the best way, because there is no any perfect situation in this world. Some people, they criticize this. But what you need to understand, we should have certain benchmark for the best practices. We'll show you one example. So here you can see the bellies list. You have publishers, standalone journals, the vanity press and all. So here you can see the original list. This comes under management. So we delete management and just see. In this world, here you can see how many predatory journals we have. Maybe more than 10,000. Assume. I just want to search one journal. I type this journal and put enter. Yes, this journal be listed as a predatory journal. International Journal of Management and Business Studies. By looking at this name also, you feel like this looks like very like quality journal. But according to this list, they listed, because I think I put forward these certain qualifiers in order to define this predatory journal. Then again, I will show you the same journal. The same journal, I think. So here you can see International Journal of Management and Business Studies. You go to this journal and if you see the indexing, you have Index Copernicus and all. Unfortunately, what you need to understand, there are certain journals in indexing, they put all in Index Copernicus and cited in different whatever the accredited places. You go to Index Copernicus and search, you can't find the journal article or that particular journal. You need to be very concerned about this sort of a, like practices, especially in the publication. So that you need to understand. So this bellies list. Here you have this particular, the website. So I also search the website with you. So if in case any case, you also can go through and see whether this has been, like whatever the article you are going to refer comes under this. I think already I searched. I just put the web link into the chat box, right? Then so likewise you can see the search. Then what I do, Manjula is asking a question. As a junior lecturer, then what I am going to do? So you have to be very concerned about quality of the journal. If I am going to evaluate the thesis, PhD dissertation, number one, I am looking at the abstract. Number two, I am looking at the reference list. By reading the reference list, few journals, easily I can recognize, maybe because of our practice and all, whether this journal is a predatory journal or not. Okay, good luck. International Journal of Science, Management, Humanities, upset. There are many journals, not everyone, not every journals, right? Most of the journals comes under that particular category. You have to be very concerned about that. Please make sure to educate your students also, because we are very concerned about ethical practices. Ethical practices. If you're really looking at the quality, I think, as you know, in Australia, you have ABDC, Australian Business Deans Council ranking. I think every year they have their own rankings. So ABDC, they have different ranking, A, B, C, and D. Right? If you can have a publication for A+, kind of a lifetime achievement. Right? Or A also, it's like 20% chance. So ABDC is one of the accepted ranking method where we can advise our friend Manjula. You have to be very concerned. If you are going for a publication, start at least with the C rank in ABDC 1. You need to be very concerned about that. And also, so here, you have a huge Excel sheet. You go to ABDC, then you can see whether the ISSN number, then ISSN printed version, ISSN online version, the first publication year, the website, and all with the particular grading. So that you need to understand. In UK, I think in Australia, again, you have something called ERA ranking method. In UK, you have ABS ranking. So like Australia, ABS ranking, we consider as one of the accredited ranking method. So top publications, if you want to have a good publications and all, you have to be very concerned about publishing with this sort of a academic journals with the academic quality. Journals with the academic quality, they are very concerned about the credibility, the reliability, and validity. I think in research, are always talking about this reliability and validity. That might be one of the reasons where we advise students mentioning do not get anything from Wikipedia, because Wikipedia, there is no credibility. That might be one of the reasons, because Wikipedia always subject to change. Anyway, so that is one comfortable zone for Manjula. If Manjula can go to Emerald, Emerald is a database. We have more than 150 journals. Or Sage, Gesto is one of the best I recommend for the social sciences, and Elsevier. So here I am talking about only 4. But engineering, mathematical, and other students, they have different databases. So usually Emerald and Sage, they have their accepted principles, and they do not come under that particular predatory list, comes under that particular categories. So we need to advise them to go to that this sort of a like databases. Then we don't have any issue. Unfortunately, Sri Lanka is a developing country. So most of the students in the national universities, they don't have access to these wealthy journals. Because of that, they might going for Sky Hub, they might going for different shortcuts and all, but the one of the advisable thing is to get something from Sage, Emerald, or Gesto, Elsevier and all. Then you are in that comfort zone. That is one of the challenge for Manjula to make a good publication. Not only that, Manjula is marking the dissertation as a junior lecturer. He need to be very concerned about this sort of a best practices. That is lesson number 1. How I publish my paper in a journal. So Manjula again having a question. how I publish my paper in a journal. In that scenario, the mentoring I considered as very important. This initiation by Dr. Vasanta and all these head of the departments and all academics at KDU, we considered as one of the very important things. There should be proper mentoring. It means collaborative research. You can have one, your head of the department, under head, there can be 2 to 3 junior lecturers or maybe senior lecturers. Then you can have collaborative research. I think in management, strategic management, we discuss about something called synergy. 1 plus 1, it should be not 2, it should be 3. Synergistic effect should be there. So that is really important. You need to have mentors in your life. This is a universal law, not only for research. In our life, we should have mentors, especially in research. So Manjula is really looking for a mentor. Our universities, maybe you can appoint few. It doesn't mean you need to be a good scholar. I'm not telling you should be a good scholar to become a mentor. It's not like that. A good advisor, in leadership, we are talking about 4 characteristics of a good leader, 4 characteristics of a transformational leader. You should have these 4 qualities. Inspirational motivation. You should inspire your followers. If you are head of the department, you need to inspire your lecturers. Inspirational motivation. Number 2, intellectual stimulation. Intellectually, you have to stimulate your lecturers. Third one, idealize influence. Whatever the practices, there should be a forum for you to question. Finally, individualized consideration. Individual lecturers, they have their own strengths. We need to understand. There are certain lecturers, they are very good with writing, language proficiency and all. Get them for the, collaborative work. One person is good with SPSS. One with good with their, synthesizing. 4 members get together, then within 6 months' time, you can write a good article. Don't try to write many articles per year. 1 year, if you can have 2 quality articles, then, in Maslow's hierarchy, we are talking about different layers. Starting with physiological, then second one, safety, social, esteem, self-actualization. So likewise, we need to have mentoring. As senior academics, I think in the KDU, you can become good mentors for your subordinates. You can have targets. Within 6 months' time, there are very good journals. I will tell you in InterScience, not INTER, INDER, right? InterScience. There are certain good journals ranked under ABDC, B, C ranking journals, maybe A ranking journals. So why don't you give a try? So I have many experience. First instance, my paper been rejected. In my PhD time, I can remember one of my paper be rejected in contemporary management, CMT. It's a B graded one. The review sent by 2 blind reviewers, I learned more than my supervisors. Their comments and all. I will tell you, you can learn a lot from the rejection. I think again, that we consider it as a universal. From the rejections, you can learn a lot. Mentoring, I consider it as very important. You need to be very concerned about that. So I will tell you one of the good example. PhD, I have done my PhD aligned with the transformation leadership and relationship marketing. I tested and I argued, if you're going to recruit the salesperson for the organization, not only you are looking at the sales management characteristics possessed by a person, you have to be very concerned about leadership characteristics as well. Like whatever the characteristics I mentioned you on these 4 variables and all. But anyway, as you clearly know, whatever the research you are going to conduct, you need to be very concerned about your theory. Which area that particular concept is coming from. There are many theories. Institutional theory. Then here I'm talking about social exchange theory, stakeholder theory. But one of the DBA I examined 3 months back, the student came with 6 theories. But usually, if you come with many theories, then there's a problem of theoretical parsimony. Maximum you can have 3 theories. That also you need to be very concerned. So here I will tell you one of the example in social exchange theory. So they discuss about a very important premise, the social and material resources, fundamental form of human interaction. In our life, we always going for a different exchange. Watching a television advertisement, we get the symbolic satisfaction. That also exchange. So that can be considered as another important concept, not only in the management, even in the social sciences. What we have done, so I have read many articles on transformational leadership, because that is one of my key area in my PhD. Fortunately, in relationship marketing also I found the social exchange as one of the important theory for relationship marketing. So that can be considered as one of the finding of my readings. Then again, I discussed about customer orientation, sales orientation, customer orientation and all. They discuss, some scholars and all, they discuss about the social exchange. Ultimately, I have seen an alignment of whatever the concepts I discussed, transformation leadership, relationship marketing, and customer orientation. I have seen an alignment with the social exchange theory. Then again, I start to think. I talked to my supervisor, Dr. Anand Vikramasinghe. Now at the moment, I think Dr. Anand serving as a senior lecturer at Sydney Business School. Those days he worked for Central Queensland University. He also advised, why don't two of us going for a concept paper? Because fortunately, transformation leadership, again, once I go through the literature, I found out transformation leadership coming from trust and commitment. And relationship marketing also coming from trust and commitment. Likewise, there are some parallels. So then, finally, we have published a paper on International Journal of Trade and Global Market. This is a C-graded one. This is a concept paper, link relationship marketing, transformation leadership into social exchange. So I think Central Queensland University, Dr. Anand Vikramasinghe, my supervisor. So I actually got 2 supervisors. First supervisor actually was late Professor Sudatta Ranasinghe. He immensely helped me, and Dr. Anand Vikramasinghe. So this is kind of an outcome of the theory. So now I just want to tell you, there may be certain things that comes to your mind, then you need to have certain skill of synthesizing. I think you know the Bloom's taxonomy, the high order thinking and all. You should know how to synthesize. Social exchange is there. Relationship marketing is coming. Then in management, we get leadership. So ultimately, we synthesize everything into one concept paper. So that can be considered as another important thing for you, for your whatever the future writing and all. So here you can see the article comes under C graded in ABDC. And also, I will tell you, with your colleagues. So this is really important. As you clearly know, the best time in your life should be year 19 to 30. Now I am 46. I belong to generation X. Yohani Disilla. Now, in Sri Lanka, if you are going to write the history of the female leaders, maybe female characteristics, female characters in Sri Lanka, you have Sirima Bandaranaike, then you have Susantika Jayasinghe, then again you are talking about the Yohani Disilla. The young age, especially generation Y, they belong to this particular time, the particular time category, age category. So I considered, especially I'm talking to the young people in the KDU, start to work with your colleagues. Maybe 2 to 3 people. Get the advice from your senior lecturer. Every week, just allocate 1 hour. Maybe today, Friday, every evening, Friday, 6 to 7, 1 hour. Have a plan. November 20th. So we are come up with a good research problem. Every week you can have a small discussion. December 20th, we are going to have our first submission. We are going to send for Open University first international conference. Likewise, you should have targets. As an academic, I know in Sri Lanka, not like other countries, it's very tough, paper marking and all. But I can remember in my staff development, so I went to Columbia University for my staff development. Professor Suki Ekarat, one of my mentors, those days he advised us, academics, we have 2 different roles. One is coordination, lecturing and all. He considered that as maintaining activities. But he always talking about something called progressive activities, that is publications and all. So our friend Manjula with the colleagues always should be very concerned about to have publications, to have time frame publications, so that we considered as very important. Then we discussed about ethics. I think, as you know, I have real respect for Kottala Defense University. So there are many best practices national universities should learn from KDU. Unfortunately, national universities, maybe because of their ego, right? They don't like to learn. I have my own criticism. This is not the opinion of my university. This is my personal opinion, right? That you need to understand. So the best practices, I think vice versa, right? So we also can learn from you. You also can learn from us. Ethical considerations in publications are really important. I discussed about these predatory journals. Basically, I myself don't put my name as a first author if I'm going to have a publication with my student. That is my practice. Even though I write the entire journal article, conference article, I put the name of the student as the first author. There are certain ethical considerations. I think you know plagiarism and all. That also we need to take into consideration. What is the mantra? So mantra to become a good scholar. I'm going to tell you this particular experience because my reflections. So I want to inculcate the particular learning culture where I like to share my experience. Start to publish in local conferences. In international marketing, we are talking about first, don't go global. We are talking about something called internationalization process. Likewise, first publish in local conferences, then go to the international conferences. Selama conferences. First conferences. Local, international. Then journals. Local journals, then international journals. So here you have to always concern about not predatory. Now you know how to check. Ultimately, you can go to the quality journal. Step by step process. Where Maslow hierarchy ki api ara kiwa wage ka part entana tinno. Physiological self-actualization. There can be certain people like that, but according to my experience, I am getting the happiness of more tolerance, right? Exposure is really important because if you go to the conferences, you get a very good exposure. Networking. You have to write to the people. You need to get the networking. International local conferences, please participate. Even no need to become an author, just as a participant. Just unfortunately now because of this COVID-19, we can't physically go, but just get the networking right. I know there are many people, many of our friends, many of our even students, they get many PhD scholarships through this participation of conferences, networking with scholars. I will tell you, I have a good network with different scholars. You should read more. Sometimes we don't like to give proofreading, but I always give proofreading because reading and lecturing will double your knowledge. Then only you can write. You should learn. Everyone, you need to understand. You need to have a learning orientation, learning organization. Whatever the article you get, you need to share with others. Now, 2 days back in Open University Management Faculty, one of our senior lecturer, Asanka Senivratne, Asanka Rangawa, software connectingpapers.com කියලා මට මතක. ඒ software එකකින් article එකක තමක් ගාපු ගම ඔක්කොම දෙනවා ලස්සන web එකක් වගේ එකක්. Can all this network of articles relate to the whatever the jargon put forward? So then again, I asked him to make a small presentation for 20 minutes. Even in the faculty board meeting also, I appreciate this work. Likewise, you need to have a learning organization, learning orientation. Then juniors, seniors, everyone. So you have this Zoom making window, WhatsApp message. So then we share certain ideas, new knowledge, certain different gagematics, different best practices. That is one of the very important things. So I will tell you one of the good example. This is one of the reply I got from Professor Philip Kotler. I just give you 1 minute for you to read this. Here, like few years back, I have written one article on marketing 3.0, not 4.0, where aligned with Professor Kotler's idea on this. Because marketing 3.0 is considered one of the very important premise called there is no customers. We need to consider all customers as human beings. And we need to respect to the spirituality of the customer. I think 6-7 years back, He came up with this 3.0 marketing with his co-authors. But in Sri Lanka, if you really revisit the tradition, 50 years back, there is one business person called Inyapuami, Maliban Mudalali Ape. He advised to his family members, before you are going to give the biscuit for customers, you should taste the biscuit. If you are satisfied, only you have to give the biscuit for the customer. So it means technically 5 decades back, Inyapuami identify customers as human beings. So based on that, I have written a book review based on Marketing 4.0. I then directly contacted Professor Kotler. So this actually can be considered as one of the very important thing in my life. So the appreciation from the guru of marketing in the world. So this we considered as the beauty of networking, because this universe, if you do certain things, we are talking about something called universal energy that we considered as very important. It is the same article been already published in Asian Journal of Marketing. So 4.0, the book review, Marketing 4.0, more moving from traditional to digital. So you can just get this book review. I think it's there, Burger University. In the database, you can get this book review. So what you need to understand, our friend Dhammika Lianarakshi, now you know how to get something from Google Scholar, how to search with keywords, how to go to Emerald, then again mentoring, working with colleagues. But there are certain soft skills you need to inculcate. Now, you students, university undergraduate, we say we need to teach them English and IT. For us also as lecturers, we need to have certain soft skills. We should have our own account in researchgate.com. Your name should be visible in Google Scholar. In orcid.org, you know. If you are an academic, if you are a scholar, this can be considered as the identity you get. Make identity card orchid.org and publions.com be considered as the future. Whatever the articles you publish, try to link into Publon. Now I review the articles directly from Emerald to Publon. They have this access. So then it add to my list of reviewing articles and all. So everybody, as academics, we do teaching, we do coordination. Unfortunately, we always spend 70 to 80% of our time for that. But what I always advise you, try to allocate more for research. And these are the 4 aspects under your name, your ResearchGate ID, Google Scholar ID, ORCID1 and Publons. මේ හතර එක තමයි අපි අපේ profile එක හදා ගන්න ඕනේ. ඒක තමයි අපි, you know, in business world, they have their visiting card, no? They have their website and all. Yes, we also have our own visiting card with these characteristics. So this is actually May 195. Actually, is my Google Scholar profile. At the moment, I think this is 224. Which is today. Usually, I have a very bad practice. Every day, I type on Google. I type my name on Google and search. It is a really bad practice, because I publish certain articles not only for the journals. I really like to publish articles for newspapers, right? So usually I write for Daily FT. I learn. Because we need to socialize the knowledge. Socialization of knowledge can be considered as one way, again I will tell you, to repay what we gain from the free education. So final remarks. So before we are going to have a conclusion, I just want to read this. This I considered as one of the very important things. So this is something from Reverend Velivity. So this is over the Tero. University එක පටන් ගත්තා. ආම්දුරේ එක තැනක කියනවා හරි ලස්සන කතාවක්. Everybody affiliated with the university should keep in mind not to engage in any act that will undermine the quality of our degree and research work. And also here, Reverend he mentioned, if our graduates are not proven to expected intellectualism, their degree claims they possess, people will indubitably arrive at the conclusion that our university is a stowaway degrees also. We need to be very concerned about that. So that is one of the lessons we need to learn. So that is something I just want to tell you with this example of our friend called Manjula. Because I think we started this discussion with our friend called Dhammika Liyanarachi, not Manjula. Nama Manjula kila mata garadila kiyo, it should be Dhammika Liyanarachi, right? Then again, Google Scholar and all. Then we discuss about this predatory journals and how to review for a quality journal. Ultimately, we discuss about this ABDC and ABS journals and quality journal articles, quality journals in management, and best practices with my experience, reflections, and what might be the future. Next month onwards, even next week onwards, you can start something like that, because we are very concerned about this international rankings, Times ranking. Unfortunately, still in Sri Lanka, still in the globe, only 2 universities, Chavadharpur and Colombo, comes under 6,000 universities under Times ranking. But there are some like pros and cons, criticisms, because we in Times ranking 62.5% of the weightage being given for publication, citations, and research. So it means it's very much biased to research. But unfortunately, these rankings are like that. So we need to adjust ourselves accordingly, because this is also kind of adjustment now. 2 years back, we don't know anything on Zoom. Now in front of you, I'm delivering the lecture. Life is all about the adjustments, adaptation.